because before we know it, in about a month from now, it'll be playoff time. A little less than a month, but it's just crazy how fast this season's gone by and
Yeah.
how playoffs are about to start up right around the corner. What's the latest on your Giants scenario after having a big win,
Huge
taking a big
win.
win inland over Maryland over the Commanders? What's their playoff scenario looking like? Because I believe right now all four teams in the NFC East are still technically in the playoffs.
They are right now, yeah. Right now, because of the tie, actually, that I think that the Commanders are still in it. They theoretically can still make it. We were going to be pretty much mathematically eliminated if we lost that game. So, thank you to the refs. At the very last couple plays of the game, there's a lot of controversy around it. All I'd say about that is, yes, it was defensive pass interference. And it was definitely it was an illegal formation, but I mean, like, obviously the ref confirmed it with Terry before. So I don't know. It's tricky. The Zebras helped us this time. We usually get the shit end of the stick, and no one remembers how the refs screwed us over the last game that we played and last year too. So to all of those people, fuck yourselves. Let's go Big Blue.
I know that they got rid of the rule, but for situations like this, I really think to avoid from refs messing up that each team should be allowed one challenge a game. I know that they only get one challenge a game, but I feel like they should get one additional challenge where if there is a questionable call, especially in a pivotal moment like that, there should be a rule where you can challenge to have it be reviewed. And even if it gets reviewed and they're like, there's not enough evidence for it to be overturned, that would still be shitty, but I think the team should still be awarded that because so many important games like that one, and especially in the playoffs, as you remember from the Saints and the Rams a couple of years ago, when it comes down to the wire, when games come down to the wire like that, and your team loses based off the ref being an idiot, it just seems very unfair, and it should be looked at a second time. That's just my opinion. So I think the league at some point should consider that, but they probably won't.
This was a bad week for the refs. They missed a blatant pass interference call going in the Giants' favor where Richie James got tackled before getting the ball, and that wasn't called either. So, I mean, there were bad calls both ways. It was a pivotal moment when the Commanders got, no call there twice in a row. It was kind of tough for them. Obviously, I'm thankful as a Giants fan, but I can admit it that it was definitely pass interference. The issue is that when they put that in place after the Saints Rams game, which was like the most egregious pass interference I've ever seen that they didn't call, it was such a failed experiment because for whatever reason, every time that they challenged a ruling on the field, for whatever reason, it almost always failed, even if there was like blatant evidence to suggest otherwise. I don't know why that is exactly, but it was really weird that kept happening. And that's why largely got phased out, that whole idea of challenging calls. They should figure out a way. There should be a way to automate calls like that better. The issue is you could theoretically call something on almost every play, which is why it becomes such an issue. Because this is just like me watching the Giants, but like Kayvon Thibodeau, for example, who's an animal, he gets held on like almost every play. And if you and a lot of edge rushers do, but if they call that every time, then there'd be almost no game. So it's kind of like a tricky balance that the NFL probably has between horrible calls. And sorry, I don't know if you heard that, but don't know what that was.
I heard it every second of it.
Oh yeah. So it's a tough balance, I feel like, for them to figure out what to do here. The refs are human, but some of these calls are like unreal how they miss them or they call them and they can't figure it out. It's like for the longest time how they couldn't figure out how to define a catch. Like that is wild. That took until like 4 or 5 years ago, and still, like, I feel like, there was. Do you see the two plays? Sorry, just last thing. You see the two plays with when the Cardinals were playing the Patriots, I believe.
Monday night. That was last Monday night.
Last Monday night.
Yeah.
And and it was Hunter Henry who had the touchdown, but they said that he the ball hit the ground, so it wasn't a catch. But then a week before that, Travis Kelce did the same thing, I believe, against the Chargers, if I remember correctly, and they called it a touchdown. So it's just it's weird that it's not.
It's like when you think back to, if you remember when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, when Zach Ertz had that touchdown where
yes, I do remember.
Technically the ball crossed the pylon, so it's a touchdown. But as he was landing in the end zone, he dropped it. So it was also incomplete. But the rules are the rules. And I was thinking a lot about that too. Like, not that you had any interest in watching the Eagles game this past week, but I was just listening to it on the radio. I was listening to it on the radio, and the Merrill Reese, who's the Eagles play-by-play guy for the radio, he was talking about how any ball with past 20 yards, like any deep shot, the refs weren't calling it. Anything that was ticky-tack, even if the defender hit the receiver before he got the ball, which if the defender hits the receiver before the ball gets to him, it's pass interference. And he was the play-by-play guy was saying how the refs are letting that go all day, and that they apparently made that clear from the very beginning of the game that they were going to be letting that go, and they just wanted the game to be played. But it's I understand that, and if you're going to stick to something, you have to just kind of stick to it on both sides of the field. But when you look at the NFL rules, the rule is if a player gets hit before the ball gets there, it's pass interference. So how can you just make the decision as refs that you're not going to call it during the game? It seems it's going against the rules and really discredits the referees and the trust that you have in them. But whatever, it is what it is.
The refs deserve criticism. And again, in their defense, they're human, they're going to miss calls. But there should be a way to I don't know if it's automate it is the right way to say it, but there should be a more defined way to call pass interference, either for DPI or just not a call at all. But there should be it shouldn't be as subjective as it is. That's an issue. The Commanders again, if I was a Commanders fan, I'd be pissed. Matt Berry, I watched him on his whatever it is, Peacock show, and NBC, whatever, NFL and NBC, give him a shout out. Not that he watches, but but he can. No, I'm just kidding. So he wore he made a bet with his buddy on the show, and if the Giants, with a massive Giants fan, the Giants won, he had to wear the jersey of the player for the Giants that won the game.
Jay Croucher?
No. It wasn't Jay Croucher. It was some other producer who's a Giants fan. And if it was the other way around, the producer would come on the show and show that he was wearing whatever Commanders player really won them the game. So Matt Berry showed up in a referee t-shirt. Well, so I get it. From their point of view, I mean, look, that was a pivotal moment in a very important game for both teams. That was playoff atmosphere, huge implications for the playoffs. The Commanders might not make it now because of that game.
Potentially, yeah.
So I definitely understand why they are very angry. I'd be angry. I'm not, because I'm a Giants fan and I don't give a shit about you guys. Not sorry. But
it's funny though. Let's look at the playoff scenario, and it's funny. Both conferences are coming down to the wire, but not in a good way. Not in a competitive way. There's so many teams. Even for example, the NFC South.
Do you want to share your screen if you're looking at it right now?
You want me to share my screen? Yeah.
I don't know if you're looking at the stuff.
Yeah. Let's see how to figure this out.
It says present and then share.
Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome, Mom. What?
Uh-oh.
Can we do this?
What happened? Share.
Do it.
I have to hit the unlock button. Share. This is annoying.
We should have wait music.
Dun,
Dun, dun, dun.
Where is system preferences found? All right. It came up and then I got rid of it, and now I'm just so confused.
You
So
can
you can
do
do
it.
it. We're gonna give this
All right.
one more try, and if it doesn't work,
Wait, did you just do it for a brief second?
I don't know why I can't figure this out.
Do you want me to go? I could look at like schedule. I don't know what you were looking at exactly. Standings.
It's on if you go on ESPN,
Yep.
and then you just go to under NFL tab playoff machine.
Yep.
It's in there.
NFL playoff machine. Is yours still not working?
Yeah, it's making me do all these steps, and I can't figure it out for some reason.
All right.
So
I got it.
thank God. All right, well, there you go. But yeah, basically what I was looking at is it's just crazy that the NFC South, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Falcons are all 5-9, and
Mhm.
they're still in the playoff picture, which is like crazy to me. And the Bucks are only a game ahead of them at 6-8. Like they're so bad this year.
That
And
whole division is terrible.
the Bucks should run away with it because like with the Falcons are pretty much checked out, it feels like, and the Panthers keep fighting despite how bad of a team they are.
Mhm.
And the Saints keep fighting too and winning games. Like they won,
Yep.
they won last week. So the interesting playoff scenario for the Eagles is they've already locked up the playoffs, but they
Yes.
haven't locked up a first round bye yet. With
Correct.
three games left, they need to win one of the 3 games
Mhm.
to secure the first round bye and home field in the playoffs. And the thing that's funny about it is we play Dallas this week, and anything could happen, but I'm going to be realistic and say since we're in Dallas without Jalen Hurts, it's possible we lose that game.
Mhm.
And then we play the Saints at home, and we should beat them. But let's say hypothetically, Alvin Kamara, who was just the worst draft pick possible for me this year, decides to turn it on and goes off, and they somehow beat us. That means
Yep.
the last week would be a home game versus the Giants, which was like that's the last game of the year. You want to rest your guys, so you don't want anyone to get hurt. But like it could be a scenario where we have to play our starters against the Giants, hypothetically, and we have to beat you guys, and it could be a big crucial game for you guys too.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's very likely is I think Jalen Hurts will sit this week. If Dallas wins, I mean, it's only a shoulder sprain, so I think he'll come back
Yeah.
this week. If the Cowboys win, I think he'll come back next week.
Okay.
Because the Saints game is huge for both the playoffs, but also the draft compensation that you'll get from the Saints. Because you want them to keep losing. So I think that game has enough implications that if he's healthy enough, like I definitely think they're going to rest him this week. But I think if he's healthy enough, I think he'll go next week. I hope for my fantasy team if I make it. And I think they'll wipe the floor with the Saints. I mean, they're such a bad team, and I can't believe that they're not playing Jameis.
I mean, Big Red's been leading the way for them, so
he stinks. That division is just such crap. I mean, Tampa should win. They should win the division. They should win next week, which more or less would lock it up. Because Carolina's playing the Lions, which is going to be a really difficult team to beat because the Lions are just on fire right now. Who do the Saints play? They play the Browns, so that's actually a winnable game.
Yeah, which is funny because when you look at a lot of the matchups this week in the NFL, there are a lot of implications. Like the Saints and the Browns both have – neither of them are in the playoffs right now, but they both technically aren't eliminated yet.
Are the Browns 6 and 8?
The Jaguars and the Jets play each other. Both of them are technically not eliminated yet, and they're both out of the playoffs, but can still technically make it. So it's a big game between those two, which is like when you think about it, Jaguars and Jets on Thursday Night Football, it's one of the more boring Thursday night games. No one wants to watch that, but for Jets fans and Duval fans, it's a big game for them.
Dude, they are on fire.
Yeah, they are on fire.
Trevor Lawrence is playing out of his fucking mind right now.
Yeah, he's playing really well.
I think they'll beat the Jets without Mike White. I can't believe that's the difference is Mike White.
Well, it's funny when
at the beginning of the year.
I'm in 3 fantasy leagues. All of them I made the playoffs. 2 of them I lost last week, but in the one league that I made it to the next round, I have Jalen Hurts too. So since he's out, I had to pick up a quarterback. And literally my only 2 options are either Zach Wilson or Sam Darnold.
That's so unfortunate.
So I went with Zach Wilson.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, he played decent last week. I mean, maybe you have advice. I'm not sure if I should start Bam Knight this week based on how bad he was last week. The Lions are actually significantly better on the run defense than they were prior in the year, and the Jaguars aren't a very good run defense, but it's kind of hard to start him. I really need points. I mean, props to Sacks, like his team, especially now with Justin Fields at his QB, which was his weak spot. Well, he is a very hard team to beat. What?
As he's going to be out this week.
No, Fields is playing.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Then how are you going to play Nick Foles?
What? Nick Foles is not on the Bears.
I thought he was on the Bears.
Nick Foles is on the Colts.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Nick Foles is now starting for the Colts as per 12:05 today. So that team is doomed.
Yeah,
they were already terrible, but my God. Wait, did Houston lock up the first pick? I think they did.
They said they have an 85% chance to get the first pick.
Wow, Bryce Young going to the worst franchise.
Bryce Young, you think will go number 1?
I do think he'll go number 1. Yeah,
over CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Houston has some Bama guys in their front office, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Thank you to the Saints too for us being the best team in the NFL, and we'll probably have a top 5 pick this year.
Yeah,
so we won.
That was. Do you remember? I'm gonna stop sharing, but when that trade happened, I said to you, I was like, that's got to be one of the most egregious trades I've ever seen. Like how he absolutely fleeced them. Like they weren't a receiver away from being good. That's why I don't understand. I mean, don't get me wrong, Chris Olave is a stud.
Yeah, I mean, after the AJ Brown move, we had no need for Chris Olave, so it made sense to do that trade with them and get a lot from them.
No, that was before the AJ Brown.
Was it before the draft?
Yeah, It was before the draft. It was like a week before, and then AJ Brown, or maybe a few weeks before, and then AJ
leading
Brown
up to the draft, all the talk about the Eagles was getting a wide receiver to help out Devonta Smith, and everyone thought we were going to draft someone, and then it turns out we went even better and got AJ.
I still can't believe that trade happened, but Howie is a magician. I will give it to him.
I saw this post the other day about how I forget the exact quarterbacks. I think I might name them all, but Jalen Hurts in year 3 got AJ Brown, and he took a huge leap. Tua in his third year got Tyreek Hill, took a huge leap. Josh
Sure.
Allen in his third year got Stephon Diggs, took a huge leap. So as bad as a football team as the Bears will continue to be for going into year 3 next year for Justin Fields, if there's some receiver available out there that they could go get for him, don't have anyone on my mind right now, but it probably would help him out big time because they have nobody.
We didn't know Tyreek Hill would be a disgruntled star coming into the offseason, right? Like that was pretty out of nowhere.
I mean,
like I remember
so good at Kansas City. Like I feel like you had to have known he'd be decent.
No. I'm just saying, like, when he was like all of a sudden didn't want to be in Kansas City anymore, I feel like that happened within like hours. Like,
yeah,
all of a sudden I got a report that was like, yeah, like Tyreek Hill's unhappy in Kansas City, and you're like, what? And then you see the Jets and the Dolphins are the two suitors, and then within like a day, the deal was done. He became a Dolphin. It was crazy. So I'm sure there will be some more drama heading into this offseason, like with some star receiver who wants a big contract or whatever. If I'm DJ Moore, I would try to get the fuck out of there. Oh my God. I feel so bad for him. He's so good, and he has to deal with the worst quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Justin Fields and DJ Moore. That not that would really help them out much, but that would still be a lethal duo. But Justin Fields doesn't have a great arm. So there's a reason why most
underrated. I think he's underrated.
I think he's overrated because most games, if you look at his passing yards props, it's always like over under like what 140, which is like
what was okay. Side question.
There's a reason for that.
What was Jalen Hurts' receiving or throwing props last year? Probably around the same. Like,
yeah,
he had it. Last year he had Devontae Smith and no one. Like, realistically,
look, I mean, yeah, you make a good point, and we'd have to wait and see, like, if he gets receivers. But if you look at the throws that Jalen's making this year, like, he's on the money with almost all of his throws. He's hitting guys.
Do that last year.
Maybe it just takes time to like develop into it. But if you look at Justin Fields in his first 2 years, he's just not looked like a good passing quarterback, even this year, and that's why he's been so mobile. Yet, to your point, he has nobody to throw the ball to. His favorite targets. Average Cole Kmet.
Equanimous St. Brown.
So you can be right. Like if they get him some people next year, maybe that'll change things for him. But even when he throws the ball, it doesn't look good.
I want to see him next year have somewhat of an O-line so he doesn't take a bazillion sacks like he does every game, and a receiver, and then I could make an argument one way or the other, but if you look at the past, we talked last year, Jalen Hurts is not a good thrower of the football. You're talking like Josh Allen his first 2 years, he was not a good thrower of the football. There's a reason that he went the last round that year that he broke out, where I just like happened to get lucky and pick him, because everyone thought he would suck. Everyone. Mm-hmm. There was no talk about how he would be a good player after the first 2 years. It was just Lamar of that draft class. Jalen Hurts was not talked about as being the Eagles franchise quarterback for sure. Like everyone was thinking, he'd be this or bust, and he broke out. Justin Fields has nothing.
Fans thought it was terrible.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And Justin Fields, I'm just like, I'm not like a truther of Justin Fields, but I think he was the second best quarterback in that class. I said it then.
I said that from the beginning too. When I was up at Syracuse, and one of my professors is the Jets beat reporter, and I said to him, and he's like so hyped, and he's like, he hated me because I was a dick to the Jets, but I was like, they get this as your job, and you're hype about the team you cover, but like, the Jets are going to regret taking Zach Wilson. They should take Justin Fields. And he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an Eagles fan. Like, was laughing at me. And I was like, Jets are terrible. Like, you can laugh at me all you want, but the Eagles won a Super Bowl. And I remember I was like defending myself in class. So I was like, the Jets are a terrible team. They've been a terrible team, and they're going to continue to be a terrible team. And I'm just giving my opinion. And you might think Zach Wilson is the guy. He's not the guy. I'm telling you right now, they should take Justin Fields. And you just kept giving it back to me. And I was like,
yeah,
you'll see. And
look, it's like in the very beginning of this year, it would be hard to argue one way or the other. Zach Wilson sucked, and so did Justin Fields. And then after that press conference where he just kind of took all the blame, Justin Fields, that is, I mean, it kind of just turned around for him. I think they started giving him a lot more freedom in the offense, like actually running around. It's so weird that they never let him do that before because he was always such a prolific runner. But he was known for like his deep passes too. Like when he used to like bomb that shit to Chris Olave when they were on the same team. I wonder if they have an O-line that will protect him. Now that they sort of know how to use him more like a Lamar Jackson than like whatever a pocket quarterback. He was never that. I don't know. I think jury's out. He's really, really talented, clearly. And he just surpassed 1,000 yards this past week. The Eagles are a great defense, and he still had over 100. He had that insane run that should have been a touchdown, but also he stepped out. And, you hear like guys like Darius Slay, who's obviously all-pro corner, talking about how like it's even more of a highlight reel in person than on film. I don't know. I think there's more than – I think they're stupid for trading a second for Chase Claypool. They've made like a lot of very odd decisions like that. Like they drafted, for example, Velus Jones, who was like a 25-year-old receiver out of the draft last year who was never that productive in college. It was super weird. And he sucks, like, obviously. He was a super senior. And I don't know. The Bears front office makes really questionable decisions like that, but give him a little bit of protection. Give him a number one. I think he might surprise, similar to like Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. Like, I think there's a shot. Zach Wilson, I think, has everything at his disposal and just sucks.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but we'll see. But let's just like look at just quickly to wrap up the playoff scenario. Looking at the NFC, something that's crazy to me is how the Lions were 1-6.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this is right, and they're 7-7, and they're still in the playoff hunt. The 6-8 Packers are still in the playoff hunt, and then the Seahawks at 7-7 are still in the playoff hunt. So these next 3 weeks are so crucial to so many teams, and it would be awesome. Like I'm rooting for the Lions. It'd be awesome to see them sneak their way into the playoffs. They play the Panthers this week, a very winnable game for them.
Yep, and Bears the week after.
Yeah, the Commanders are most likely going to lose to the 49ers, so that puts them out of the playoff picture for the time being. The Giants play.
We play the Vikings this week, which probably will be an L.
Probably. So that's not good for.
We'll have the Colts the week after, so that should be a win.
Yeah, the Bucks. Well, I mean, the Bucks. That's purely based off their division, but they play the Cardinals, which like they should beat them, but with how bad they looked this past week against the Bengals, like nothing's set in stone for them.
That was a big loss to be up like 23-3 or whatever it was, and then just to completely crumble. That was really bad. I will say the Cardinals are probably in line to start Trace McSorley, who's absolute dog shit. So if they don't win this game, that will be so embarrassing.
Are there still bye weeks?
No.
Because I don't see who the Falcons play on this list.
Falcons play.
They play the Ravens.
The Ravens, right?
That's a pivotal game that's a pivotal game for both of them too. Because like, I think Lamar will be back, and
I hope so.
And they need him. Yeah, they need to win because right now they're 9-5 at the 5th seed, and they're like all in the same like ballpark with the Bengals who are 10-4, the Titans who are 7-7, the Dolphins, who are fighting for a playoff spot at 8-6, and then like it's all these other teams I listed. Like there's 4 6-8 teams. The Browns, the Steelers, who are somehow in it, which is despicable. The Jags at 6-8, and then the Raiders, who have been terrible all year, they're still in the playoff picture. Yeah, so
they got so lucky with that win last week. Oh my god!
Oh my god! Yeah, let's talk about that real quickly. Why the hell did Ramondre pitch the ball when it was a tie game?
That was totally Ramondre's fault. I totally agree with that.
They're just trying to avoid like overtime at all costs. Like I don't understand that.
I don't know. Dude, well, let's talk about the 2 plays that were most pivotal. There was the play that was Keelan Cole's touchdown, which people are arguing about, which was the thing that put the game at a tie when his foot was like 1 foot in, 1 foot on the line.
Oh, he was clearly out of bounds.
I think he was clearly out of bounds also. They review it, and then they decided it was still a touchdown because there wasn't conclusive evidence, which is crazy to me. There was definitely conclusive evidence, but because of that, it led to that very last play where the Patriots decided to run a draw. Ramondre ran probably like 30 yards. It was a really nice run. And then for whatever reason, like in those situations, you always go down. I mean, they should have just kneeled it in the first place. Like, I don't know what they were doing, but you always go down. And I guess he was trying to like, I don't know, like create a spark play or something, and like pitched it to Jacoby. I'm sure in Jacoby Myers' mind. All parts of this were so embarrassing because Jacoby Myers was a former quarterback. So the fact that the pass was that horrible. Also, he pitched it to Mac Jones. So I really don't know what he was thinking.
I think, I don't even know. And then the ending of it, which is just like so embarrassing for Mac, was Chandler Jones picks it off and then just stiff arms Mac Jones to the ground.
Puts his helmet right in the dirt. Oh my God, that was so embarrassing. Yeah, I remember, like, I didn't watch the game itself, but I was watching just like on like Fantasy Cast and whatever, because I was like, oh, it's like cool, the game's gonna go into OT, whatever. And then I looked back and it said end game, and I was like, wait, what? And then I see all over Twitter, all over the internet, like, I can't believe Jacoby Myers is so dumb, and like, definitely Ramondre's fault. He should not, like, I'm sure in Jacoby Myers' mind, when he got pitched the ball, everything like turns off. It's like instinct. You're getting a pitch. You're getting pitched the ball,
so I got to pitch it too.
Exactly. So like he then thought to pitch it and forgot about the fact that the game is tied and there's no reason to do that. And then Chandler Jones, stiffs Mac Jones.
You got to think after that, Bill Belichick's probably like, I got to get out of here.
Dude, their offense is so bad. Like, what do you expect putting Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as your offensive coordinator and QB coach? Like, dude, Matt Patricia's a decent defensive coordinator.
I still can't believe Matt Patricia got the job as the head coach for the Lions. That was unbelievable.
Bill Belichick. I don't even know if Josh McDaniels is a good head coach.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think he just he's on a good team. I mean, not a good team. He has like good players to build around, but
the way that they underperform though is like, it's so bad.
They need a quarterback change. I said that last year too. They need a quarterback change. They have their running back, which they were about to let him go at the beginning of the year, and Josh Jacobs. Yeah, so they need to. I know, and the Eagles really want to make a push for him, but the Raiders should lock him up. Darren Waller needs to stay healthy. They just need a new quarterback. Like, if they bring Lamar there, that could be a whole new team. But
you think Lamar will leave? I think
he's definitely going to leave. I just don't know where he's going to go.
I think he'll get franchise tagged. I think he'll try to leave, and they'll franchise tag him.
I'm sure you're right, but I think he's just sick of being there, and they're just not a good team, especially if they don't make the playoffs. I think that's it for them.
I'll be honest, like, the Ravens, time and time again, do not give him help. I don't understand why. Mark Andrews is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah, let's bring in the old veteran Deshaun Jackson, and it's a new threat for him. No.
That's what I don't understand. Like, you have money, you have picks, and you got Roquan Smith, who is awesome, and it was a great trade for them.
Money ain't everything,
But
Jay.
where's Lamar's help? What?
Yeah. So money ain't everything.
That's right. That's why I have none of it. Yeah, I don't know. If I'm him and I have DeMarcus Robinson as a number one, I'm pretty upset with that. And also, Devin Duvernay just got hurt and is out for the year, so they picked up Sammy Watkins.
They should bring
That's where they're at.
They should bring in Hingle McCringleberry from Penn State. He's a really good wide receiver.
I think they should trade for Kenny Galladay. they need a true number one.
Oh boy. So to wrap this show up, do you want to look at the fantasy implications for you since my season's over?
Should we just talk about quickly the other stuff, this news that came out of so Jonathan Taylor placed on season-ending IR. DeMarcus Robinson, Devin Duvernay also on IR, season-ending. Matt Ryan just got benched.
Garbage.
Garbage. Some more garbage.
You think he's done after this year? You think he hangs it up? He should.
Or he's a backup. But it's pretty embarrassing. Did you watch the game? The Colts-Vikings game?
I watched bits and pieces of it. I was texting one of my buddies who's a big Vikings fan, and I was like 33. It was 33-0, and he goes,
33-0.
It's plus 8,000 right now, which means $100 would have been me $8,000.
Right.
And I'm like you should send it. And I don't know if he threw money on it or not, but they came back and won. And
dude, yeah.
It was just Kirk Cousins was just making some bad plays, making the Colts defense look good. I was looking at the score, and it was I don't know if it was when they had 33 points or before them, but I had figured it was from defense because I know they had a pick six, but it was 33-0, and Matt Ryan threw for it must have been before the 33 points, so it must have been 26-0 or something, but it was 26-0 Colts, and at that point Matt Ryan had thrown for 85 yards, no touchdowns, an interception, and Zach Moss rushed for 80 yards. And I was like, they have no offense. How are they getting all these points? And it was probably from a bunch of field goals and all their defense, but it was only a tale of two halves, and it was only a matter of time when JJ and Dalvin Cook were going to take over, and KJ Osborne, who was pretty irrelevant all year, had himself a game.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, he was so good. Yeah, no, I watched the whole game, and I we do my sister's boyfriend Jake does this pick it thing. So you basically just pick the winner of each game.
Can he
pick
it
all year? Can he pick it? But so I picked the Vikings. Obviously, I have some fantasy stuff for them for both Michael Pittman and JJ. So I'm watching the game, and I just kept saying to my family, I was just like, holy shit.
JJ had 5 fantasy points in the first half, and then
I was not feeling good about it.
Finished with 28.
He had 5, or he had it was 3 point something actually. He has 3 point something.
He'll be a top 3 pick next year for sure.
Yeah, I know. I really hit on that one. So he had 3.7, I want to say. Michael Pittman had 6, and I'm like, of course. The one game I'm watching is the one game the Colts somehow blow them out. There's no reason for Michael Pittman to even get used anymore because it's 26-0. Matt Ryan hasn't even thrown for 100 yards. There was a defense, a pick six. There was a punt return touchdown. All this nonsense. I was like, God damn it. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, I guess worst case, hopefully they don't bench him like they did for the Dallas game when the Vikings got blown out there too. Because, if that happens, I'm screwed. Mm-hmm. And then that comeback that they had was just so insane. And the Colts are so bad. So it was 3 and out over and over and over again. They only were able to put 3 points on the board the entire second half, which is just so embarrassing. And then the Vikings came all the way back. They won it on that or they tied it on that Dalvin Cook screen pass for like 70 yards on a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then, which was also unbelievable. JJ also made Stephon Gilmore like look so bad. And he's going to wreck the Giants this week. It's going to be not pretty. But anyway, that game was insane. Just wanted to mention that because that was like there were some really crazy endings to the games this week.